Hello, my name is Jenny Burek. I am an astrologer and a theta healing instructor. I am a channel of Archangel Metatron, Sananda, Jesus, who incarnated as Jesus. I I began doing that as a child. I was raised in a fundamentalist Christian church, and so I came by my channeling through the Holy Spirit, the energy of the Holy Spirit, who I now refer to as the creator. It's that energy of unconditional love that we are all sparks of, that white light that people see when they pass over and they talk about how they felt so much love, just overwhelmed with that feeling. The good news is that a woman named Vienna Steibel brought the teachings of what she calls theta healing, or what is referred to as theta healing, to the planet about 25 years ago, and taught people the meditation to access that white light, that energy of unconditional love that is God, that is pure love that we're all sparks of. And so I did channeling when I was much younger, and left all of that behind me when I left the church for decades, I guess, almost decades. And then on April 1st of 2015, I was woken up at 5:30 in the morning by Archangel Metatron, who showed me sort of like a movie of what was about to happen in my life. And so I got right on board. And so when I do my astrology weekly readings, I'm channeling him. I write out the week with him, and then as I'm speaking, he will interject here and there what to say. And today I actually wrote out what he said just because of the magnitude of it. And I was, kidding with him that, this is the first time I'm talking about it, and I'm going to say some pretty salacious things, really, really. So anyway, I started doing this only because I, worked my way up to being brave enough to get on camera and do this because of the energies of this year. When he tapped me on the shoulder in January and said, "Let's go." I looked, looking through the year, I said, what am I going to say about this? And he said, "This is the energy that brings down kingdoms." And when he said that, I got the feeling he wasn't just referring to governments or shadow governments. I got the feeling he was referring to actual, like what we look at as like geography, like, mountains and things like that. And I should say too, when I started looking into, Metatron, I never had heard the name Metatron before. And he led me right away to Amanda Ellis, who is also on YouTube. I started following her, and now I consider her a friend. She's a mentor. She's a teacher. She teaches people how to work with the energy of Archangel Metatron and through color therapy. So I've always, I listen to her channelings, and I think I say to him, "Oh, I'm so glad that I didn't have to say that." And now today, guess what? I'm going to be saying similar things. So as a follow-up to this video, if you want more information, any of her channelings, but December of 2017, she did a channeling titled Earth Changes. And I think she has Gabriel and Mary in the title of it as well. But if you just look up Amanda Ellis 11 is her YouTube channel, you can get some more information. And I also wanted to say about Metatron, if you are watching this, Metatron puts out the call, and then it isn't that certain people are called, it's that he's put out the call. And then at some point in our lifetime, we answer the call. If you're watching this video, you are most likely working with Archangel Metatron now. Maybe not consciously, but you most likely are working with Archangel Metatron. He is a kind and loving energy. And I'm going to, I think he's telling me to say yes, to talk about my first memory with him. I was probably 2. And for some reason, when I see myself, in other places or, in astral travel, like even in dream time, I'm wearing a white gown. I don't know why, but that's the way that I thought everyone did. And then he told me today, no, not everyone does that. But it almost looks like a choir robe. So I was about 2, and I was skipping down the sidewalk in my choir robe. And I look like I had my blonde curls were bouncing, and I was just, I was a little kid, not really thinking about anything. And I noticed that someone was holding my hand, and I looked up to see who was on the other side of my hand, and it was Metatron, and he was looking down at me like the most kind, loving father looks at a child. And I think that was a gift to me. Something that I was lacking in my life, and I think that he wanted me to know that I was loved, and to be able to remember it for the rest of my life, and to share it with all of you. That's the way that he feels about all of us. And when you hear, other people that are on YouTube, and I'm not saying that they're all wrong. I'm not passing judgment. Like there's no judgment. But if it's something that's like scary or negative, that's not Metatron. That's definitely not Metatron. I access him, like I said, through the energy of the Holy Spirit, through the energy of unconditional love, through the light, and you can do the same. So, okay. So having said all that, we're going to talk about the new moon in Aries today. Aries is the sign of the I am, the self. The energy. One of my teachers, Maurice Fernandez, talks about it being the sign of pushing through the birth canal and coming onto the planet. It's survival. It also is war and battle, and is ruled by Mars, the masculine. So we're looking at. Let me get my handy little diagram out. We're looking at the sky. So for a while now, we've had, we've had Chiron sitting at 29 degrees of Pisces. You guys, this is really hard doing it backwards. On sheets, which is not such a nice fixed star, let's say. And Chiron, Chiron is the key. Chiron is in your natal chart. Chiron looks like a key. And Chiron is the key to our healing. Chiron orbits the sun between Uranus and Saturn. Saturn being the Lord of Karma, where you're restricted, what you've come to master, what you're working on, what your greatest deficit is, and then also your biggest triumph is Saturn. And Uranus is the breaker of chains, the one that brings us freedom through revolution and revelation, and it shakes things up, literally. It's like a tornadic energy. Like all my life, even when I knew nothing about astrology, now I go back and look, because I used to have dreams about tornadoes starting when I was like 6. And it was always Uranus transit that was going on. So that's the energy of Uranus. Doesn't mean that it's horrible. It's just, it's change, and it's a serious change that you aren't going to go back. There's no going back. So, for a lot of people, when they have periods where they lose a lot of people, or they move suddenly, they find out that they're going to move. That's a Uranus transit most of the time. And all the time, there'll be Uranus will be involved somehow. So we're looking at Chiron sitting at 29 degrees of Pisces, getting ready to move into Aries. The last time that Chiron was in Aries, we didn't know there was a Chiron. And whenever planets and asteroids come into our consciousness and we find out about them, it's very significant. So it's been about 50 years. It was 1968. It was a time in the United States, a lot of the peace protests were going on to protest the war in Vietnam, but we were also at war. again, now we've been at war. I think we invaded Afghanistan in 2002, and then Iraq was, I think, 2004. I'm not sure. It's been going on for so long. Unfortunately, they don't let us see much of it on the news. So it's not even really, unless you have, someone there, it's like hardly talked about, sadly, that we're still, there's still soldiers over there. And now we've got a lot of talk going on with, some kind of military action in Syria. So, the sky right now, we've got these big boys. We've got Saturn, Mars, Pluto, all in Capricorn, government. And Capricorn is the sign of, like, all of the institutions that rule society are Capricorn. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Saturn for the new moon will be sitting stationary retrograde, about to move backwards. He's at like 9 degrees, 8 minutes, and I don't remember the seconds, but when he gets to 9 degrees and 9 minutes, he sits there for a little bit longer and then he starts to move back. So that's very significant. That's going to happen 3 days after, like 2.5, almost 3 days after the new moon. And Chiron will move into Aries 2 days after the new moon in Aries. Chiron is the healer, the wound that never heals, and the wounded healer. So it's that wound, and most of it's repeated in childhood. It's something from way back, and it can be way back in the family line. It might be something that happened to you in a previous lifetime, but it's finding out what that wound is the key to your healing. And then how you, in turn, heal others around you. So with Chiron in Aries, and what we'll be going through then for a period of about 7 years is going to be about healing the I am, the right that we can shine as the sparks of God that we are, owning our I am presence. It's also going to be about healing the masculine, healing the wounds of war, of destruction, murder. Mars is the sword, Aries. So this is all in a setup to that. And then what's happening on May 14th with Uranus moving into Taurus. Uranus is part of the meetup here with the new moon. We've got Aries, who gets a bad rap as the angry aspect of the feminine. Aries is the one that fights for the survival of the species, the human species. That's the aspect of the feminine that Aries is. And she and Uranus are all mixed up in this new moon energy. Then it is trine, so that's a harmonious energy, to the galactic center. The galactic center was known by the ancients as the gate of the gods. It's where our sun gets downloads from the central sun out in the cosmos. And then that goes over to 3 fixed stars that I actually wrote things down about there at the end of Leo. So we've got all of these energies speaking to each other in harmony. And I'm going to go over those 3 fixed stars. There was a lot to write down about this, and I wanted to make sure that I got it right. So there's actually a lot of other energies at 26. The new moon is at 26 degrees of Aries, and then Uranus is at 28. So they're considered like conjunct. Aries is, I believe, 23. So the one of the fixed stars in the constellation of Leo that will be speaking to this energy, the new moon energy, is Alphard. Alphard gives wisdom, musical and artistic appreciation, and the knowledge of human nature, strong passions, a lack of self-control, immorality, revolting deeds, and sudden death by drowning, poison, or asphyxiation. Adhefera is another one of those stars, all clustered in Leo, the constellation of Leo. I'm sorry, they aren't actually in the part of the constellation of Leo, but suicide by poison, corrosive acids, liquid explosives, liquid fire, stealing, and crime. So speaking of Syria, Al-Jabaa gives loss and many dangers. It's a violent and intemperate nature. For military officers, it brings danger of mutiny and murder by his soldiers. All three of these stars are ruled by Saturn. They have a co-ruler, but they all are ruled by Saturn. So we've also got, then he wanted me to take a look at the trans-Neptunian objects as well. We've got at 29 degrees Chiron, like I said, Sedna at 26 degrees of Taurus. Sedna is a lot of water. And in your own natal chart, it will point out, especially if it's retrograde, that there was most likely a vow made to be single, to be lonely, to be without a man. But that's nothing to do with this new moon. I'm just saying, like, in your own natal chart, it doesn't necessarily mean water. Those are things that, like in theta healing, you test for using kinesiology to find out whether or not there's a subconscious knowing of the fact that you made that vow. But I'm mentioning because I do a lot of healing with Sedna. Cupido and Lilith are, not Black Moon Lilith, another aspect of Lilith, are at 29 degrees Sagittarius. Cupido is about bringing harmony to the whole, like doing whatever it is in order to harmonize, to bring harmony to the whole of all that is. And then Al-Qaid is at 26 Virgo, death and mourning, war, and natural catastrophe. And at this time still, this has been weeks now, I didn't even look back to see how many weeks. It's at least 4 weeks, at least, maybe 6 weeks. Mars, Saturn, Pluto, and Black Moon Lilith are all traveling 1 degree parallel. So they aren't in a conjunction, but the way that they are aspecting the Earth by declination, they're 1 degree apart. So they're all, it's like you kind of see those energies then as interwebbed. They're kind of like all meshed together. And Lilith, Black Moon Lilith is, the myth of Lilith is that she left Adam when she found out that she had to be subservient. And she was like, I would rather not be here than to have you treat me as less than equal. She wants her independence. She wants to be seen as equal. And she's not going to put up with anything less. She is 1 degree away from Mars. Mars is ruling this new moon in Aries. So Mars is with Lilith by conjunction and parallel in the sign of Capricorn, where Mars is in exaltation. He's not out of bounds anymore, but he's close. He's way up there. And Mars in Capricorn doesn't lose speed as he goes through Capricorn. He gains going up that mountain. Just like Metatron showed me when Mars was sitting on the galactic center, and he showed me the coal train or steam train, and it was being filled with coal, and it was like the chute. It was like a never-ending filling. Like it was just gaining, and getting ready to go, wherever we're going to go with this Mars through Capricorn, coming up to 9 degrees Aquarius, which will be conjunct the south node of the United States, and then backing up to its point of exaltation. Exaltation for Mars is 28 degrees of Capricorn. That is the United States Pluto. So when we're talking about Mars and Pluto, we're talking about planets of war. And we're going to do a little bit of a healing with that after this. I also wanted to mention that Venus at the time is parallel the nodes of fate by declination. That's important because Venus is, the nodes of fate too are at 11 degrees, the master degree, but by declination they're parallel with Venus. Venus is now setting the stage for what's coming when she is going to rule Uranus as he takes his journey through Taurus. His journey through Taurus and Chiron's through Aries. I believe one of them is in the sign. I know one of them is in the sign a year longer, but honestly, I don't remember right now which one. But basically, they've been traveling together semi-sextile it's been about 8 years since Uranus went into Aries, and Chiron has been in Pisces for 7 years, and they've been having this conversation the whole time. So Chiron in Pisces was talking about the wound of the separate belief that we're separate from the creator, from the energy of creation, from the universe, from unconditional love, however it is that you are comfortable saying that, hearing that. It's been about dealing with that wound. And then Uranus in Aries has been breaking us free from whatever it is that's holding us back, because it's the sign of I am. It's the self. It's been, bringing ambition to us. Uranus is electric, and it's been on fire all of this time, and it's getting ready to shortly move into Taurus. That'll be a couple of weeks after the full moon in Scorpio, which is a whopper. On the 29th of April, that's an 11-day, 2-9. So, okay, what else did I want to... Oh, yeah, and then Jupiter is retrograde in Scorpio at 21 degrees in that sextile, that easy energy with Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio. So it's another exact that they've come together at the 21 degree mark for the second time. But really all year, that's like the overlying energy, which is a great energy for, it's a fertile energy, like for us to build things that we want to build, and something of value, something that brings power to us, power for us individually. And then Jupiter is going to back up to 13 degrees of Scorpio at the new moon. Poseidon and part of Fortune are exact on the Chicago ascendant. It's at 13 degrees Scorpio, and they're going to be there. Jupiter will back up to that July 11th. But I just found that significant because I had a dream about water in Chicago a couple of days before Amanda Ellis did that channeling. So we'll see what happens with that. I was told to mention that as well. And then we've got also speaking at the 29 degree mark, Vulcanus in Cancer. So we've got a lot of energy. Like I said last week, the sky is angry and the sky is sad. And then we've got a lot of water, just so much water. You can almost feel the water in the air, I think. And I don't even mean sadness and emotion. I just mean, it just feels like there's a lot of water coming. So, and I believe because I talked to Metatron myself, I know that what Amanda Ellis said is true. I know when you listen to her, you will know that she is telling you the truth. And what he was saying about the changes coming, Mary and Gabriel were actually saying about changes coming to the earth and the polar ice caps and melting, and then the tilt of the poles. It's in the stars, and you can feel it. You can feel it if you're sensitive. And if you're watching this, you're sensitive. So, and then I wanted to also, I wanted to say, before I read what he said about the collective, like how we're going to feel these energies collectively, I wanted to talk about the new moon in Aries for us individually. So what I do for my own new moon energies is I make a list, one piece of paper, well, sometimes it's more, but on the back I write down what it is that I want to release, or, what I want an ending to, and then on the front, you write out what you have. You don't say like, oh, I'm going to have this and I'm going to have that. You write down, I have this, I have that. Even if you don't have a partner, and if you do have a partner, see the relationship exactly the way that you want it to be. Just write that down, exactly what, in detail. You can't manifest for someone else. You can't manifest for someone to love you. You can't manifest that. You can manifest that you have a job, like exactly what you want the job to be, but you can't say, if you say like, oh, I'm going to get this job at this specific place, that's kind of, that's other people's free will involved. So you can't involve anyone else's free will in your manifesting. But then what I do is I light a candle, I burn the paper, and then I I sprinkle the ashes onto the ground to say to the universe, like, okay, this is what I'd like to have happen. So with the energy for the new moon, what he showed me for us individually was a trap, like the snare traps with the teeth that close around like an ankle, and he showed me just it springing open. Like, that's it. It's go time. The new moon conjunct Uranus. Uranus, like I said, it's change, and it can be a abrupt change. It's freedom. It's breaking free of whatever it is that's holding you back. Whatever it is, we've been doing this now with Uranus for 8 years. It first came into Aries in 2010. Before it went back out, came back in. But for 8 years, we've been getting messages like, this is what you need to break free from. This is what's holding you back. And if there's things that we're still clinging to, even places that we're still clinging to, relationships, they're going to be taken. They're going to be moved aside in order to usher in some fresh energy, something better, something more positive, something that you can use for the rest of your life, that will move you forward and propel you forward. It's never a bad thing when Uranus breaks us free from something. It's what our soul wants. It's what our soul is asking for. And so we're given time. The universe will give you time, and it's not ever doing anything against your free will, but it will give you time to come to the realization, oh, okay, I should probably move on from this. I should move on from this. And then it will just move it for you. So this is like, I'm grateful for it. I think it's awesome. I'm excited to see what it is. It's conjunct my ascendant. So anyway, we're going to do a meditation it's the theta healing meditation. We're going to go anchor into the earth, and then we're going to go up into the light, and we're going to do just a brief manifesting meditation. So if you want to pause this and make your list, or you could, watch it again, the energy of the new moon for Central Time. It's 8:57 p.m. on Sunday, the 15th. It's 1 in the morning, or 1:57 in the morning, and you're in the UK on early Monday morning. But the energies of the new moon last like 2.5 days, about 2.5 days. So, and really anytime that you're watching this video, it's the time to do it. So nothing is ever coincidence, especially with Metatron. And so whenever you watch this is a great time for you to do manifesting for yourself. So we're just going to center ourselves in our heart space. Take a deep breath in. Sending our energy down through the bottoms of our feet and anchoring into the heart of Mother Gaia. Coming back up and bringing some of the white light from the center of the earth, starting beneath your feet, clearing, aligning, rotating, opening, balancing all of your chakras, coming up to a beautiful ball of light above your head. Getting into that ball of light and going up past the universe, through the layers and layers of dark lights and bright lights and dark lights and bright lights and dark lights and bright lights, through a golden light, through a jelly-like substance, and into the white, pearly, iridescent light of the energy of the creator of all that is. The energy of the Alpha and the Omega, the energy where you are at home. Just meld into the light, become one with the light. And we're just going to make the command, creator of all that is, whatever block and obstacles are between myself and my heart's desires, I ask that they are removed expediently and kindly. I call in soulmates, members of my soul family, who can help me to achieve what it is that is next for me. I align my will with the will of the divine, with the will of my soul, in a kind way, And I ask that my guides, my beings of love and light that are around me, open doors that are meant for me, close doors that are without being in my highest and best interest. Please and thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. And then we're just going to rinse off in that light and come back down into your space, going back down into the center of the earth, coming up to your crown, and then we're just going to zip ourselves up. Okay, and then I just wanted to do that before we hear the message from Archangel Metatron. So I had this message, I've had it for about 4 days, and it took me that long to bring it out on video because it's big and it's serious. So I want to make sure before we start that all of you understand now that you are in the presence, if you welcome in the energy of Archangel Metatron, that he will be there with you. So if you're okay with that, you can just say yes. And I want everybody to just feel a lot of peace and a lot of calm. Just let go of any fears or preconceived notions or nervousness or anxiety about what it is that he has to say. So he showed me a doorway. It was a giant doorway. And when it opened, I saw on the earth a lot of bright spots of light. I want to say that too. There were a lot of bright, like billowing white clouds of light. And then there were a lot of very dark black clouds as well. More light than dark. And he said, we are entering a time of great changes on the earth. The anchor of darkness will be uprooted from the depths of the earth. And when he showed me the anchor, it didn't look like a ship's anchor. It was like a spike, and it was a huge spike. And it had spikes coming out the side so that it was really, really deep in there. And then attached to the anchor coming up there were cables attached to poles. And I saw 3 distinct poles and then a fourth in the background. And I asked him, so when it was uprooted, it looked like the earth went like this. That's the best way I could describe it. It was sort of like a jiggle. It wobbled. And the tethered poles attached to the anchor will begin to fall. I asked him, are there 3? And he said they're innumerable. And then it was like a chain reaction. Then it just was poles falling. It will be very easy now to differentiate between the light and the dark. Death, destruction, and chaos are already here for parts of the globe. But the days of the earth's resources being pillaged are drawing to a dramatic close, as the tethers are ripped apart in spectacular fashion. There's no reason to fear. It is your soul's journey to be here to witness the rising of the new dawn. He said your souls were very excited, and then he said your souls were insistent that they be here to witness what is happening in the new day. For some, these will be days of wailing and of gnashing of teeth. Those days are coming for some, but they've made that decision. Great peace, calm, and light will flood the planet after these days. Do not succumb to fear. Do not allow fear to darken this victory. There is a mighty force of warriors of light surrounding and protecting each individually and the planet as a whole. The earth is a priceless gem. And then he showed me a diamond. No force is mightier than the light. We are protected. We will be protected. The earth will not only survive, but thrive. When this period is finished, a new age will come to pass. One all in the multiverse have been waiting for. The days when humans treat the earth with the same regard and hold it in the same esteem as the intergalactic and transdimensional beings of light hold it. It is now being molded into a precious pearl. So as Amanda spoke about with the melting of the poles and you know, the winters being longer and being colder. She talked about that last year. We're seeing that now. I mean, I think it was 3 weeks that the poles were above freezing. The water, they said, would be used. I'm just repeating because I know some of you won't have seen that channeling. The water would be used as a preservative over the earth. And the good news with Uranus coming into Taurus is that Uranus is innovation and technology, new technology, things that come like from the cosmos kind of stuff. Like I don't know if it's a rumor that Steve Jobs found, you know, decided to do what he did through meditation. But this will be when we find new ways to farm that are not harmful to the earth. There'll be a lot of people, I mean, you can see it in the younger kids, like they just aren't that into meat. And thank God, because we're running out of crop space to feed the cows so that we can kill them and eat them. I think it's 90% of the world's cereal crops go to cows just so that we can kill the cows and eat them. So we'll find new ways to bring food. You know, there'll be enough food now because we can't sustain that. That is just unsustainable. And what they said, what Amanda also talked about in that video was that we've reached the point that, you know, this step has to be taken. Oh, yeah, and he's reminding me the poles are not going to shift. The poles are going to tilt. The shifting of the poles would be, you know, it would be over. That is not going to happen. The tilt is happening to stop the shift from happening, the complete shift. So, so we will see what happens. It's an exciting time to be here. I know that, you know, it's sort of strange. Like I really want there to be change so desperately. I don't like to think about, you know, the amount of suffering that is going to go on. But nobody ever comes onto the planet without choosing to come onto the planet. No one leaves the planet without choosing to leave the planet. That's always a decision made by the soul and the individual. Nothing is being done to them. So there will be a lot of people leaving the planet. And I think that we could go up again now and just surround ourselves and the planet with unconditional love. So if you just want to feel the energy coming up beneath your feet, up into a beautiful ball of light above your head, going up again through the bright lights and dark lights and bright lights and dark lights and bright lights and dark lights, through the golden light, through the jelly-like substance, and into the white light, the energy of unconditional love. And we're just going to make the command. Creator of all that is, it is commanded to surround and fill us with unconditional love, with light. We're going to send it into the core of the earth, and then witness as it radiates out from the core of the earth, coming all the way up through the tectonic plates, through the crust of the earth, into all of the vegetation, all of the creatures, all of the life on the earth, going up then into the atmosphere. Creator of all that is, it is commanded that peace and love and light reign on planet Earth. Thank you. It is done, it is done, it is done. And then just come back down into your space, ground down, just see the roots growing through the bottoms of your feet and anchoring into the earth, and coming back up to your crown and just sealing yourself up. So that's all I have for the new moon in Aries. It's an exciting time for us individually. Really, this is it. This is when you're going to be shifted into where, you know, whatever you've been wanting to do, whatever you've been waiting for, it's coming. It's here. It's now. This is it. So it's exciting. It's, you know, you don't even have to, if you don't remember the meditation, you can listen to it again. Vienna Steibel, it has it on, what am I trying to say? SoundCloud. It's on SoundCloud, the meditation. If you ever want to do the theta healing meditation, that isn't exactly a healing session, but that's the meditation that we do to take people into the healing sessions. And my website is astrologyforascension.com. My email is jennyb@astrologyforascension. You can leave questions in the comments, And I'm on Instagram at StarGirlJen and Facebook Astrology for Ascension. So anyway, happy new moon. Happy welcome to freedom. And okay, I'll be back to do the energy for the rest of the week on another video. Have a good day.